Good morning. It's Friday, Mozart's birthday, born in 1756. And this is Dan Earhart with the rest of the news. The Reverend Al Green should be saying, "Thank you, Mr. President," as download sales of Let's Stay Together have gone up 490%. Since the POTUS sang just the first line at a fundraiser last week, sales of 16,000 since. Tuesday's State of the Union didn't rate real well, down to 38 million viewers from last year's 43 million, and the year before was 48. NBC topped the networks, Fox topped on cable. And Warren Buffett's poor little secretary who sat with the First Lady representing middle-class taxpayers, turns out she makes upwards close to $500,000 a year. The post office is releasing a new set of musically themed stamps. One features Miles Davis, another Edith Piaf. It's now known that dogs were man's and women's friends before chickens or cows or goats or pigs or any of the barnyard animals. A dig in Belgium finds the pets from 33,000 years ago. Practically speaking, dogs did provide companionship, protection, and help with the hunt. Not all that different from now. The Dublin Dole office has banned the wearing of pajamas when you come in to apply for social assistance. Pajamas, they spell it P-Y, jamas, in Ireland, with slippers or flip-flops just doesn't have the right back to work looking for a job look. It's more the right back to bed looking for some more sleep look. Kidnapping is big work in Mexico. It's now the top country in the world for abductions. It's number one. And authorities say only 13% are reported. Mexico City in particular experiences so-called express kidnappings, which either occur in a cab or the victim's car, just long enough to get to an ATM. People in Austin are relieved to hear that a suicide is probably the man who has terrorized women in the inner city for half a year, especially around the drag, with sexual attacks and one murder the night of New Year's. It's not known exactly when or how 25-year-old James Lauren Brown ended his life, but his likeness was on phone poles all around the UT area where he lived, as did his victims. This is the day to remember the Apollo 1 fire of 1967 on Launch Pad 34 at Cape Canaveral, Florida. That accident resulted in a major overhaul of the space capsule as a result of the fire, which killed the 3 astronauts who were training and planned to go to the moon 45 years ago. And the headline today is, "On to the Moon, Callista." If we're to believe him, Newt says he wants to make the moon the 51st state. This is terrible news for the folks in Puerto Rico. They wanted to be the 51st state. And forget about that Alaska last frontier stuff. That's nothing compared to the rugged individuals needed to colonize the moon. We'd probably have to pay off Russia, but Mr. Seward established precedent for that. And maybe we'd have to threaten to quit buying electronic gadgets from the Chinese dormitory sweatshops. Just a few little hurdles on the way to, well, what are we going to call it? The word territory comes to mind. There was the Oregon Territory, the Oklahoma Territory, maybe Lunar Territory, or name it after Newt, Gingrich Territory of the Moon. That's it. He is scaring the daylights out of the GOP establishment with his success right now. They're all afraid he might win. As one strategist puts it, he couldn't carry a swing state if it was made out of feathers. The Occupy movement has its first political candidate, 29-year-old Nathan Kleinman, veteran of Occupy Philadelphia. He is challenging the Democratic incumbent for Congress. Have you ever heard of these whippets before? You get them at Walmart or anywhere. It's said to be the particularly low woods treat that Demi Moore was getting high or low or whatever on when she had to go to the hospital the other night. TMZ screams, "Just don't eat the whipped cream." Or maybe you'd rather join Pat and Vanna for margaritas, 2, 3, or 6, at Los Arcos, 3113 West Olive in Burbank, corner of West Alameda. Have a great weekend. See you next week. Dan Earhart with the rest of the news, now on iTunes.